Alright, today I will talk about the validity and soundness of arguments in order to instruct people on how to generate valid sound arguments. A valid argument is an argument that has the proper form of an argument that can be logically followed to its conclusion. Something like A, A is a part of B, B is a part of C, therefore A is a part of C. Something like that. A sound argument is one that's premises lead to a true conclusion through its logic. Basically, you need some premises that are true and conclusions that are true. Not all arguments must be valid and sound, but at the same time, and invalid arguments are always false, and unsound arguments are always untrue, while not necessarily invalid. I will give you some examples to clarify this. Alright, so a valid argument would be dogs are pets, dogs are mammals, and some mammals are pets. The reason is that if A is a part of B and A is a part of C, then some C is a part of B. Because A is. So that is true. An invalid argument, on the other hand, would be very similar, which would be A is a part of B, and B is a part of C, and A is a part of C, therefore all C is B. That is invalid, and this can be seen through dogs are pets, dogs are mammals, and all mammals are pets. This is not true. I don't know of anyone that owns a tiger, although you might, I know probably there's somebody out there that tried. I don't know if that went well for them, but as a common pet, that's probably not true. Maybe if you're a zookeeper. And for soundness of arguments, a sound argument would be that cats drink water, dogs drink water, and cats and dogs drink water. This is also valid, but the reason it is sound is that all of these things are true. An unsound argument would be cats eat dogs eat food, and cats and dogs eat to survive. This is an unsound and arguably invalid argument because there is no way that you actually know that they eat to survive. That doesn't necessarily follow from the premises, and we know that cats don't eat dogs, which is why this is unsound. You can have arguments that are valid but unsound and invalid but sound. I'll have some examples here. A valid but unsound argument would be that Timmy likes dogs are aliens, and Timmy likes aliens. The reason this is valid is because if A likes B and B is a part of C, then A likes C. The reason this is unsound is dogs are obviously not aliens, unless you're crazy and probably right for the History Channel. An invalid but sound argument is that Timmy likes mammals, dogs are mammals, and Timmy likes birds. The reason this is invalid is because him liking birds is in no way indicated in either of the two premises. You would never be able to attain that he likes birds from the first two sentences. This is actually called a non sequitur, where the conclusion does not follow from the premise. And I will get to that shortly. Alright, so when you do not have sound arguments and valid arguments, you run into things called fallacies. A formal fallacy is a flaw in logic causing the argument to become invalid. There are many types of formal fallacies, and there are all kinds of special cases of non sequiturs. A non sequitur is an argument that does not follow from its premises, and all formal fallacies are of this type. The last example with Timmy is an example, as I pointed out. There is no way you can derive the conclusion from the premises. Or there is also times when you cannot, the premises do not would create an ambiguous case where you can't say for certain. It might be true, but it might not be true. And so that is called a non sequitur. And informal fallacies have to do with the soundness instead of the validity. An informal fallacy arises when you have an argument that is unsound because you have used premises and or a conclusion that, while maybe logically valid, is not true in the real world. You can create a lot of logically valid premises and conclusions that are just not true. This is where you get things that are like appeal to authority or to the straw man, with those kind of fallacies where they're not necessarily logically untrue, but since you're misrepresenting the truth, they are informal fallacies. Well, formal fallacies will always make your argument wrong. An informal fallacy will not necessarily make it wrong. While it is also, you need to be careful, it is a fallacy to assume because an argument is fallacious, that therefore it is untrue. That is an informal fallacy, obviously, because the argument is probably could well be valid, but it's unsound just to assume because somebody reached the conclusion incorrectly that therefore the conclusion is false. There's no way to imply that that is true. So with fallacies, formal fallacies, your conclusion could be true and your premises could be true, but the way you arrive to them is false. And therefore you need to rethink how you structured your argument rather than the points you used in it. Whereas in informal fallacy, you need to think about how you arrived at your conclusion from your premises and think about which way you were trying to convince somebody of something. If you're using things like appeals to authority, straw men, other such fallacies like appeal to nature, that kind of thing, where you're appealing to emotion or authority or something like that that is not necessarily an indicator of truth. You are just appealing to things that people just assume are true, but that is not logical just to assume things. And that is a quick overview of fallacies, and I'll make another video shortly about, dissecting some common fallacies. Thank you for listening.